You already know you have two eyes, two ears, two hands. That's the obvious stuff. But your body's hiding duplicates you've never thought about. Structures that come in pairs, quietly doing their jobs without ever getting credit. And some that exist as silent backups your body keeps around just in case. Some of these you're using right now without realizing it. Others are evolutionary leftovers your ancestors needed far more than you do. Either way, your body's significantly more doubled up than you were ever taught. Your kidneys. Everyone knows they have two kidneys, but almost nobody understands what that actually means for survival. Your kidneys filter roughly 200 liters of blood every single day, removing waste and balancing fluid levels constantly. Here's the part that stops people. You can live a completely normal, full-length life with just one. Thousands of people donate a kidney to someone else and go on for decades with zero health issues. The second kidney isn't strictly necessary for daily function. It exists as a biological insurance policy. If one gets damaged by infection, injury, or disease, the other simply increases its workload and compensates. Your body planned for failure before you were even born. Your lungs. Two lungs, but they are not identical twins. Your right lung is bigger, divided into 3 lobes, and does slightly more of the breathing work. Your left lung has only 2 lobes because it shares space with your heart, which sits slightly left of center. Surgeons can remove an entire lung from a patient with lung cancer, and that person can still breathe, exercise, and live for years. The remaining lung expands over time to compensate. The pairing exists because breathing is too critical a function to trust to a single organ with no backup. But the asymmetry between them is something most people walking around right now have never once thought about. Your cerebral hemispheres. Your brain looks like one solid organ from the outside, but it is fundamentally 2 separate structures connected by a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. The left hemisphere and the right hemisphere each handle different functions. Language, logic, and sequential thinking tend to live in the left. Spatial awareness, creativity, and pattern recognition lean toward the right. In rare cases of severe epilepsy, surgeons have actually cut the corpus callosum to stop seizures from spreading between the 2 halves. These patients, called split brain patients, essentially walk around with 2 independent processors inside one skull. Each hemisphere can operate on its own, make its own decisions, and in some experiments even disagree with the other side about what the person wants to do. Your tonsils. Most people think of tonsils as 2 lumps at the back of the throat that occasionally get infected and then get removed. But your tonsil system is actually made up of multiple paired structures, forming a ring of immune tissue around the entrance to your throat. You have the palatine tonsils, the ones a doctor can see when you open wide, but you also have the lingual tonsils at the base of your tongue and the tubal tonsils near your eustachian tubes. The entire ring is called Wall-Dyer's ring, and its job is to intercept bacteria and viruses entering through the nose and mouth before they reach the rest of the body. When a surgeon removes your palatine tonsils, the ring still exists. Most of the immune function continues through the other paired structures that never get discussed in a routine throat exam. Your adrenal glands. Sitting directly on top of each kidney, like small triangular hats, are your adrenal glands, one on each side. These glands produce adrenaline, the hormone responsible for your fight-or-flight response, along with cortisol and the handful of other hormones that regulate stress, metabolism, and blood pressure. Because you have 2, the system is redundant. If one adrenal gland develops a tumor and needs to be surgically removed, the remaining gland can typically maintain enough hormone production to keep the body running. The fact that these glands come in pairs, sitting on top of paired kidneys, is the kind of elegant biological symmetry that exists completely below conscious awareness for most people. Your ovaries or testes. Reproductive glands are paired in both biological sexes, and the reason is purely probabilistic. 2 glands produce twice as many reproductive cells, increasing the chances of successful reproduction. But beyond reproduction, these glands are hormone factories. Ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, which regulate far more than fertility, including bone density, cardiovascular health, and mood. Testes produce testosterone, which influences muscle mass, energy levels, and red blood cell production. When one is lost to injury or disease, the remaining gland often increases output to partially compensate, though not always fully. The pairing exists both for reproductive redundancy and hormonal backup. Your nostrils, they look like one nose from the outside, but inside your skull, you are breathing through two completely separate nasal passages, divided by your septum. And here is the strange part. Most people never notice. You are almost never breathing equally through both at the same time. Your nasal cycle, which most people are completely unaware of, alternates dominance between the two nostrils roughly every 2 to 4 hours. Right now, one nostril is doing most of the airflow work while the other is slightly congested and resting. Then they switch. Your body is cycling airflow between these two passages continuously throughout your entire life, and almost nobody notices because the change is gradual enough to stay below conscious awareness. The paired system also means if one nostril gets blocked during illness, you can still breathe through the other. Your optic nerves. You have two eyes and therefore two optic nerves. But the way visual information from both eyes gets processed is more complex than most people realize. Each eye sends information to both hemispheres of the brain, not just the opposite side the way most people assume. The left side of your visual field, seen by both eyes, gets processed by the right hemisphere. The right side of your visual field gets processed by the left hemisphere. If one optic nerve is damaged, you don't simply lose vision in one eye entirely. Depending on where exactly the damage occurs, you might lose half the visual field in both eyes simultaneously. The paired optic nerves are not just a simple left-right backup system. They are a deeply interwoven dual processing network that your brain is constantly stitching together into what feels like one seamless picture. Your palmaris longus muscles. Hold your wrist face up and touch your pinky to your thumb. If you see a thin tendon pop up in the middle of your wrist, that's your palmaris longus. You have one in each arm. Or you might not, because roughly 10% of people are missing one or both of them entirely, and those people have no reduction in grip strength whatsoever. The muscle is a vestigial remnant from when our primate ancestors needed powerful forearm grip for climbing. In modern humans, it serves almost no function, which is why surgeons harvest it freely for tendon repair surgery elsewhere in the body. The fact that it comes in pairs, that people can be missing one or both without noticing, and that surgeons routinely remove it as spare parts, makes it one of the most quietly fascinating duplicates in the human body. Your vagus nerves. Running from your brainstem down through your neck, chest, and abdomen are two vagus nerves, one on each side of your body. These are the longest cranial nerves in your body, and they are responsible for regulating your heart rate, digestion, breathing rhythm, and the physiological component of your stress response. When you take a slow, deep breath to calm yourself down, you are stimulating your vagus nerve. When your heart rate drops after a scare, that is your vagus nerve applying the brakes. Medical devices called vagus nerve stimulators are now implanted in patients with treatment-resistant depression and epilepsy, sending small electrical pulses into the nerve to change brain activity. The fact that this system comes in two parallel cables running the entire length of your torso is something most people carrying them around every day have never once thought about. The human body is not built for elegance on the surface. It is built for survival underneath. Almost every system that matters comes with a backup, a redundancy, a quietly running parallel version that stays invisible until the main one fails. 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, 2 brain hemispheres, 2 adrenal glands, 2 optic nerves, 2 vagus nerves, 2 nostrils taking turns. The doubling is not accidental. It is a design principle built into you over millions of years of trial and error. Your body has been quietly running a backup copy this whole time, and most people will go their entire lives without ever needing it. That's exactly the point.